Hi there. I'm going to take you through the modelling of the watering can. I've no idea what the reference is now, but I think it's changed. I had done one in the past when it was 4353. That was 2008, I think. I'm not sure whether it's still this or not, but it'll give you a good insight into modelling in 3D anyway. I have had some issues getting this thing to shell correctly. No loop through vertices, keeps cropping up all the time. Not 100% certain what it means. It seems to be something to do with the fillet of this spout. I've traced it all the way back, shelling as I went, and when I got to this bit, there seemed to be a problem. We've also got to bear in mind that these heights that they've given us are vertical heights when things are on an angle. Other things that you need to bear in mind is this is a 3D taper on the path extrusion at this point. Also, we have to create something to give us this shape, so we create a pattern, chop that out of this tower thing, then that'll give us the handle. We cannot sort of build them individually because that's got a nice little curve on it. What else do you need to know? Not much, we'll just build it and see how it goes. But this has caused a problem, so what I found that works is if you fillet this thing out at 4.9 instead of 5, then it seems to shell out. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you'll get it to work or not. Might be a setting on the computer. Somebody mentioned something about the area in which it's working. I've absolutely no idea. Anyway, I just draw with this, don't get into the guts of it. But we'll start off by creating an extrusion. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is this tapering. This tower meets with this back edge, but the rest of the faces, there's a 3mm taper on them. So there's a 3mm taper on this and this extrusion, but not on this back edge. Otherwise, it'll come in at an angle, and you'll get a nasty junction at that point. So what we'll do is extrude this box with a 3mm taper and then just pull that last bit back out. We'll draw a line vertically so it meets it, and then we can put the tower in and join the two together. Alright, let's go. I'm using AutoCAD 2013. I've got the 3D modeling workspace set up. I'll be flicking between this tab and this tab, probably using keyboard shortcuts, fishing for the right command instead of using the keyboard shortcut if I'm sitting on my hands or something. Anyway, we'll get on with it. So the first part is to draw a rectangle, and it's 160 in the Y direction and 220 in the X direction. So it's 220, 160. Double click the wheel just to zoom to extents. Then we can use the extrude command, select the rectangle, hit enter, use our down arrow or our right click and put in our taper angle of 3, and then the height of the extrusion is 200. Okay, so that's the first bit created. Now we need to stretch this out just to line it back up with a vertical line. So line tool, turn off dynamic UCS to start off with. That's F6, I think. Yeah, so just turn off ducks, and then we can draw a vertical line on the Z, positive Z direction. Doesn't matter how big. So then we can come in to this bit. Now, if I control select that vertices, it gives me a chance to just pull that grip out. If I click on orthogonal or ortho mode, then where that meets that, that gives us a nice flat top. Just go to the front, we'll see that's a nice flat top and that's a flat back. So there we go. At this point we can draw a circle, that point, and that's 80. And this is also extruded. EXT for extrude, hit enter, select the object, down arrow, oops no, hit enter, now hit the down arrow, taper angle, hit enter, height 255, and then hit enter. Okay, so we've got our tower and our base. Let's put the handle on next. The handle again is a weird shape, so take care. It's 80-degree angle on this, 75-degree on that. It's 55mm high. It's 25mm wide at the front bit, and it's 20mm at the height. You couldn't really path extrude it. You're going to have to basically create this shape, which is easy enough to create, and then just offset that the distance of 30mm, and then we'll move it into position. So if I just draw a line tool, if I go to my top, just so we can draw this in. Doesn't matter how big that is. O for offset, hit enter, 55, hit enter, offset that. A line tool from that point. Now we're on ortho, so we need to go back to polar. If I right click and set our angle to 5, then we can put the first angle in at 75. Hit enter to call up the line tool again. Track from that point 25. Hit enter, 80mm. There we go. Then over offset, hit enter, 20mm, and offset that. That's the basic shape of our handle. TR for trim, enter, enter. So hit enter twice, and that gives us the opportunity to just do some random pruning. And then we just want to close this off because this will get lost when we intersect or union the Boolean operation. I think that should be enough. Yeah. So REG for region. Hit enter. The region creates a flat sort of 2D 3D object, if you understand what I mean. It's not a polyline, but it's a similar thing. And then hit enter. Allows us to extrude it anyway, so we'll do that. Hit extrude, specify the height for the extrusion. It's 30. We can't see any change on that at the moment. Let's just go back to that. We got our height. So we just have to rotate this through 90 degrees and pop it on to this point here. If I scoot around to this side, just line that up, and then choose our UCS face and select this face, and then accept that. That gives us XY going this way, so I can then select this object. If I click on that grip and hit the space bar once and then twice, it gives me the rotation option, so I can zoom that through 90 degrees. I'll just bang that back and select it. Back to world, and let's go back to that one. Pick this up, M, enter, so click on that midpoint there, pan to that midpoint then, and track along 55, and that should position it 55mm on that face, like so. DI, enter, click, click, 55mm. Perfect. So I can now intersect these three things. This is a union, not intersect, sorry. May turn into one thing. Select them all, hit enter, and that's now made that tower shape. Okay, so that's that. This is a nice, neat, clean edge. That's got rid of the bit inside. And these things are tapered by 3 degrees. So looking okay so far. The next bit, as I was pointed out earlier, we've got this bit which is a 90-degree vertical line up, and then we'll draw it in so it meets this face, and we'll have to draw a line on this face so it gives us the intersection point so we can start generating this spout thing. So the first thing I'll do is go back to my front view and choose the line tool. If I go to shift and right click and midpoint, then I might get that midpoint straight off. Don't know why that's not allowing me to do that. Let's try again. All I want is a positive Z-axis. X, Y, Z. Click there. For some reason it wouldn't do that. So anyway, I want a line vertically up there. Fact. Let's just select that and delete it. Go vertically up and enter 90, and then hit enter. Then make sure we're on 0 degrees. Then we'll choose a line tool again, shift right click, midpoint. We'll pick that point and then snap to the end point. So this intersection between this line, which is from 90 degrees vertically in, and this line which is on the face, that's going to give us the line in which we create our circle. The first circle is to give us the arc, this thing here, so that's a 50 radius from that point, and the other circle is on the face of this. So we can use a couple of different UCS settings to generate that. First of all, I'm going to use this flat face to generate my circle. So if I right click, face, select my face, which is that face, accept it. Doesn't seem to like that. Let's see if it draws a circle. Nonetheless, doesn't seem to be a problem with the circle, and that's 50 radius. Let's just check that that's flat on, which it is. Yeah, so regardless of our UCS being a bit weird, it's drawn that face just fine. In fact, I think I'll get rid of this grid because it's confusing me ever so slightly. The next thing we need to do is to draw our 45 degree line in from that point. We've got to rotate this around the x-axis through 90 degrees. So rotate axis X, 90, enter. Then this is our top view looking down. So understanding these UCSs is a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest, in AutoCAD. I'm sure you might find it much easier than me, but SketchUp, which is my favourite bit of 3D modelling software, it's a piece of cake to do all this stuff. So 45 degrees, I'll just draw that line in like so, and then I'll move that from there to there because the angles are slightly weird. So this is our path from that point to that point. TR for trim, enter, enter, see if this will trim it out straight off. It did, thankfully. We don't need this anymore. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Just need this. Now this is where we can use dynamic UCS. C for circle, hit enter, click, and 25 for our radius. We now have to taper, extrude along this path, and so with a 3mm taper. So extrude object, enter, down arrow, taper angle, 3, enter, down arrow, path, select, and there you go. So that's created that thing, that little stubby pipe bit there. So we'll just add the extra bit on, and again it's dynamic UCS is perfect for this. Why not use a cylinder? So we can click on that, choose the center point. It's a 20mm thing and 30mm long. So 20 for our diameter and 30 on the end. So select that, select that, select that, choose that. Oh, you've got to sort of select them again. I keep making that mistake. Now we've got this thing starting to look a bit like a watering can. Okay, so This is going to be our problem area to get it to shell. It might do it, and it might completely confuse me even more, but I have spent several hours trying to resolve this little issue, because I know you've only got 3 if it is this thing you're drawing. Anyway, we'll put the back bit in now. The back bit, we have to create a sort of a pattern that we can cut out of this, because otherwise you'll never be able to chop that bit out and then add this handle bit. So we make a shape that's going to create the choppy out bit, this bit. So the shape is going to be a 55 by 120 sort of skewed square. So we'll draw the square 55 by 120, then we'll skew it 3 degrees, and we'll also do the same thing with a 25 by 120 square. And then we'll extrude this thing 20mm wide, and we'll chop it out of this box that we're going to create, and then we'll chop that box with the recess out of this thing, and it'll give us that shape. All sounds far more complicated than it actually is. So let's go to, whoops, dear God, where are we going? Bear with me. Magical tour of the watering can. XY, that's what I want, so rectangle, and we'll choose, it's 55 by 120, and we'll draw one more, because, well, we've got hit enter, call up that thing. This is 25 by 120. Now we need to draw a line at 3 degrees to give us our skew. So if we draw a line up there and hit the tab key, and that's going to be 93, and then hit the tab key again and just click. Did the wrong thing there, didn't I? Choose our base point, hit the tab key, 93, hit the tab key, and just click somewhere. That gives us our 3 degree line, and we can copy that there. If you hit that grip and then tap the space bar once, then you'll be able to move that along. If you tap C and then tap the space bar as well, that copies that line. It's a very useful little tip. Now we've got to select that and shift key down, hot grip those two things, make sure you've got ortho turned on just in case, and it's hitting that intersect point, not the perpendicular. Perpendicular is down there, intersects up there. So make sure that it hits the intersect point. Similarly with this, 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks. Okay, so those are the 2 things that we need. They're nicely shaped. This thing, let's use the press pull for this. Let's use as many tools as we can. This thing will extrude out 20, I think it was. Let's just check. 20, correct. And then we'll move that, enter, into, whoops, this bit. Let's find a midpoint there. Okay, so that's moved into that. We need to subtract this from this. So it's a Boolean subtract. Select, enter, then select the thing you're going to take out, enter. So that's perfect. Now we need to position this on this back edge, and again it's a similar task that we did previously. Up 40, and the intersection between a vertical line and an angled line. Well, that's how I interpret it anyway. You might decide that that's simply 40 degrees on the angle. I think it's 40 degrees vertically, line in, which gives you a slightly higher line if you were measuring it just on this. Okay. So back into this line tool, click that point there, and 40, enter, and then we go in there. Line tool again, let's turn ortho off, Now if we shift and right click and pick our quadrant point, then we'll get that bit there. And shift and right click and choose quadrant again. And we know we get the right spot then. It kind of overrides everything else. We can then move this. I don't know whether I can do mid between 2 points here. No, it's not giving us the option. So the easiest thing to do is just to pop a little line in there, or track from there and choose 10. So select this, move, pick it up from that point there. We don't need to bring the stick with us, we just need to have that option. So we can delete that, because that was the push-pull, and now we can delete this from this. So that, select the big thing, enter, select the other thing, enter, and that gives us that shape. We let the geometry, the software work out all the geometry. You'd never have got that little curve in otherwise. Well, you might have been able to, but it would have been bloody tricky. So that we can dispense with, and so we can dispense with that. Alright, so let's just take a little look at our endeavours so far. Oh, and we got a line there we can say goodbye to as well.